Hi, friends. Hello, hello. Today, I, your trusted immigration attorney, Alina Sheltsova, will be discussing the most recent immigration news and news concerning immigration. We're going to dive into recent news about the Trump's victory and potential changes that very soon we may see in our immigration landscape. We will be discussing potential changes that Trump's administration may bring to humanitarian immigration, to family immigration, to employment immigration, what he has done in the past, and what we may anticipate he's going to do once he is taking the office formally. So please join me, say hello, let me know where you're watching from, prepare your questions, and we're going to start. You know that administration is changing, changes are coming, and very much so we are worried that Trump is going to bring back this devastating consequences for immigration families of immigrants that we already seen in the past. Immigration communities, immigration attorneys, non-for-profits are all preparing to fight back, to push back, and we will be prepared. But nevertheless, the unexpected executive orders, various regulations, attorney general decisions that we've seen in the past probably are going to come around this time as well. So just as a reminder, if you recall, during his previous term, Trump immediately attacked when he took the office things such as TPS, temporary protected status. He also imposed various travel bans, mostly for people from Muslim countries, even though later those travel ban restrictions were adjusted to include other countries as well, just to escape judicial scrutiny. Also, just to refresh your memory, for example, Trump gave orders to start mass denaturalizations of people whose green cards were received with mistakes very often, right? And here I have, if you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook, a little table from American Immigration Lawyers Association that explained how the denaturalization process works. It's a lengthy process, it's not so simple. And during the Trump's administration, the last time, many people actually were placed in these complex proceedings, and some even lost their citizenship. All right, so also what was happening during previous Trump's reign was the fact that there was no PD, almost no PD, prosecutorial discretion was taken off the table. It means that if you are placed in removal proceedings, it's either you're going to win your case or you're going to be deported. Of course, we also dealt with mass deportation rates, many of which, by the way, did not end in physical deportation of people because they were done with procedural mistakes, but nevertheless, we did face that. And of course, just negative pushback towards any immigration reform. But the most devastating policy changes were in relation to how Trump's administration handled the border, guys, right? Handled the border, and specifically separation of the children and parents at the border. Many of those children are traumatized to this day, and some, according to the news, are still not united with their parents. So that was the measure that was advised, according to media resources, to Trump administration by his advisor Miller. And it seems that the same person is somehow is still on staff and will be advising again on immigration. At least that's what mass media is saying. So it's extremely concerning. It's extremely it's scary actually for family members of anybody who is in the United States and is struggling with their immigration status. So this is what we've seen in the past, right? These draconian measures, disregard to family values, and There was a significant pushback, let's be honest. Not all Trump plans were able to come to fruition last time. Hopefully, this time is going to be the same. But as we are experienced to deal with what's there to come, his administration is also experienced this time to bring changes that they want. But what is it that they want? Well, during his campaign this time, Trump actually stated what they want. And he ran his campaign arguing that one of the things that he truly wants is to mass deport people. And he basically says that there is no price tag for him to do this mass deportation because, according to various sources, there are about 11 million people, right, without documents in the United States, immigration documents. And people say that if you would like to deport everybody, it's going to cost you a fortune. And he says, well, I don't care about that. I'm going to do what I promised I'm going to do. Yet, you need to know that deportation process in the United States includes due process rights for immigrants. And unless that process is going to be changed, and I'm going to talk about this later, it's not possible to deport somebody who is facing the deportation or removal proceedings for the first time on their first day. Person has rights, even if they're detained, even if it's not too much time, they do have time to prepare for the hearing. They have a right to hire an attorney, and they have a right to defend themselves. So it's not like somebody grabs you and sends you forcefully, pushes you out of the United States. You have due process rights, you have a right to be represented in court, and you have a right to push back if you have defenses. And many people will have defenses in the form of cancellation or removal if they have family members in the United States, asylum or withholding of removal. So it's not going to be so fast and easy as it is portrayed sometimes in the media, but nevertheless, it may come. But of course, it's only going to be this way if Trump is not going to have full control of the Congress and will not be able to change the basis of our immigration laws and procedures. Immigration laws that are codified, that were voted by the Congress. But right now we're witnessing something very, very interesting and serious, which potentially may bring drastic changes to our immigration life as we know it. If Republicans are going to win the House, they already won the Senate. If they're going to win the House, it means that whatever law they may choose to bring concerning immigration may very well pass. And we may see changes that we haven't seen in the past 2 or 3 decades. Well, of course, there may be negative, as we discussed, or we may remind Republicans that they promised positive changes at some point, right? Changes in the form, for example, of a Dignity Act. I have a little video going on today on my social media network reminding everybody that at some point, specifically in May of 2023, Republicans came up with their version of the immigration reform called the Dignity Act. It's extremely lengthy way towards a green card and later citizenship for someone who's been in the United States without documents. But nevertheless, it is an immigration reform. And since they were advocating for it back then, perhaps we can bring it back to the table and remind them that, hey, you don't have to bring only negative. You actually, if you will have control of the government fully, may bring something positive as well. Another interesting thing that was mentioned by Trump himself concerned, if you recall it, this June of 2024, green cards for students, right? He himself stated that he would not mind and he would actually want to see students who graduate from American universities to receive green cards. It's easier said than done due to significant backlogs in employment categories that for immigration that those students will be interested in. But nevertheless, it is something that Republicans may very well do. Of course, other programs such as DACA, Parole in place, also going to depend on their will. And now perhaps is the time to build bridges rather than, criticize them endlessly and be very, very upset about the situation. One more thing that states like New York should do and may do in preparation for this potential negative effect of Trump's administration is to change their local laws that would allow them to shield undocumented residents of the states from federal enforcement ICE. There is a number of legislative proposals on the table right now, as published by NYCLU, that would, for example, restrict the way New York State Police is cooperating with ICE, allows for money so that people in removal proceedings in New York will be able to have legal aid, free immigration lawyers or lawyers paid by the government. Also would restrict local jails from cooperating with ICE. So immigrants who are detained by ICE will not be placed in local jails, meaning that it will be harder for ICE on the local level to carry out those mass deportations. So this is something that states may do if they choose to do so. State governments, for example, New York government is very much democratic, and they very much may, if they choose to do so, help undocumented residents of New York. So these are the main interesting points, right? There are other potential areas of immigration laws that may be affected. Trump mentioned before employment immigration. I'm quite unclear as to what exactly he wants to do there, but again, there were a number of proposals that may actually improve employment immigration. So why don't we start feeding them these positive ideas rather than focusing only on negative? That being said, guys, if you are undocumented, you have to take this matter very, very seriously and potentially prepare for what's to come, if it's going to come. How would you prepare? Well, the only things you can do are things that are in your control. If you know that you, for example, if you're placed in removal proceedings, you may qualify for cancellation of removal. You have to start on preparing those documents, paperwork, so that you're not caught off guard. Order your tax returns, order your marriage certificates, birth certificates, order translations for those documents, right? Try to think who may give you positive references in case you are picked up by immigration and you need to defend yourself. So now it's going to be the time to hustle a little bit and collect all those documents and put them into that safe folder, and perhaps even contact your attorney of choice and say, hey, listen, if something happens to me and my family doesn't know what to do, can you help them out? All right. So this is how it goes. As I said, hopefully it won't come to that, but you never know, and you have to be prepared, right? So you need to know what the plan is, and you need to prepare for the plan. It's always better to be prepared than to be sorry in the end, right? Now, if you guys have questions, I'll be very, very happy to answer them. So say hello, send me your hearts. Hi, my TikTok people. Don't forget to send hearts. Let's see if we can have a couple thousand hearts today. I have tons of people. I have tons of questions. I will do my best to go over everything. All right. Hi, Jay. It's been 85 days since I filed and 400 while pending removal of condition. Should I expect my interview? Jay, 85 days usually is not enough. Typically, you should expect your interview within about at least 5 to 6 months, all right, which is double pretty much the time that you have been waiting for your interview. Hi, Ayar I have asylum court hearing in New York City in 2027. If I move the city, my hearing automatically moves. Guys, the hearing does not move automatically when you update your address. It does not. But it gives a reason for a judge or prosecutor, if you do not want to move your hearing, to move that hearing for you. And you have to take this into consideration. Moving from city to city not necessarily is going to move your court venue, but moving from state to state most likely will. Now, when that happens, you have to also do your research and see if it's going to be beneficial for your case to move to that new jurisdiction if you have a choice. What is it that you're going to be paying attention to? You're going to go to track immigration website and you're going to research the statistics for the majority of the judges in that venue. How do they decide cases? What is their approval rate? You also have to talk to your attorney. What would be the most pressing issues in your asylum case? And how those most pressing issues are decided under the federal law in the venue, in the jurisdiction you're going to be in. For example, some issues are easier to be dealing with in New York than in North Carolina because federal Second Circuit Court ruled on them and they're predominantly in immigrants' favor. Yet in North Carolina, the corresponding federal court ruled otherwise. This is extremely, extremely important if you have more complex asylum cases. Okay, take this into consideration. Hi, Bio, how does the immigration change with Trump? We just discussed that. Right now, we're basically guessing as to what areas of immigration regulations Trump is going to go after first, based on what he promised during his campaign. One of the main things he's been talking about all this time would be mass deportations. He even had this little plan to use the law from 1798, if you recall, right? That something Foreign Alien Enemies Act, something like that. I don't think he is going to end up using that law because it's problematic, but lack of prosecutorial discretion to revoke the memo about prosecutorial discretion that is in place right now. He may very well do that, and it's going to mean that everybody who comes into contact with the law enforcement and it is discovered they do not have green card or lawful non-immigrant status or citizenship will be subject to being placed in removal proceedings and then potentially deported. Okay, so that's the main thing that he promised during his campaign. All right, don't forget to like, share the streams. Let me see what else. Thank you very much for your hearts and gifts. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Thank you for your kind words. Yes, I know that a lot of Trump supporters, so people who are voting for Trump or advocating for Trump are watching my channels. Guys, you're welcome here. The only thing that I'm asking you is please do not use bad language and do not mock feelings of people who are extremely affected by what's going on. Because for somebody, for example, my typical client would be somebody who is living in the United States for decades without status. They already established themselves here. For whatever reason, everybody has their own reasons. Some are heartbreaking, why people did not return to their countries. They're here undocumented, but they do have family ties in the United States, children, businesses, sometimes extremely successful businesses. This is a very stressful time because people do not know what's going to happen. In fact, I know of some immigrant families who packed and left because they got so stressed out that they couldn't bear it anymore and they just decided, I'm giving up. So it's extremely stressful time. We're all humans. Let's be kind to one another. If you're from Trump, that's good for you. I understand that, but let's not offend each other. And people who are going to be in the chat saying, mean things, guys, you're going to be blocked and reported. Okay. Is L1A going to be hard to get once Trump starts? US company wants me there once I become a manager. I don't think L1A or business or work immigration in terms of this dual intent visas are going to be affected. All right, that's what I think. I think it's always been for foreign workers in terms of companies having freedom who they want to hire. We're going to see if that's going to change, but I don't think L1A will be affected. Hi, Monica. VAWA should not be affected. It's going to be a very bad image for somebody to go after victims of domestic violence. So I don't think they're going to do that. All right. I strongly believe they will not. Hi, Sunny. I am from Sweden and I came here in April with Esther. What can I do to take a work visa? Sunny, I have bad news for you. If you come to the United States on ESTA, which is visa waiver, you will not be able to change that status to anything else except for if you marry, and it's true marriage, and marry a US citizen. All right, ESTA, it's like a trap. It's very easy to use for entry to the United States, but then you cannot do anything about it later. So this is something you need to know. Now, let me see if we have questions from YouTube followers. All right. Hi, Andrea. Wondering if you think Biden might extend TPS for El Salvador before he leaves. And do you think when Trump ends it, will he be sued like back in 2018? Guys, I think that Trump will know better with regard to TPS. TPS is not so easy to end, as we all saw previously. To end a country's TPS designation, there have to be a very credible finding that the conditions in that country improve significantly. So far, nobody could make that finding for none of the countries that's on the list. So I honestly would not worry about this. As far as Biden administration extending TPS, I think they will if it's going to be within the term, all right? Because TPS has to be, the announcement about TPS extension has to come within 60 days of its expiration. All right. Hi, Bella. How long does it take for waivers for withholding removal? I have my biometrics done. Withholding of removal, if that's what you're asking, is decided by the judge. There will be a trial for that. All right, if I'm correct about your question. It's decided by the judge. So whenever you're going to have your individual hearing, that's when the judge is going to decide your eligibility. All right. Hi, Asir. Hi, Alina. Is there different processing time in VAWA for spouse, child, or parents? Thanks. I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think so. It all takes forever. Hi, Ali. People who are undocumented living in the United States for more than 9 years should be worried as well. I don't want you to be stressed out. I cannot tell you to be worried. I do not want anybody to be worried, but you need to be prepared, okay? I do not know what's going to come. Perhaps the Florida model of attack is going to be used, where people are not screened directly, but screened through employers. Trump may very well pass a law that says to employers, if you hire somebody, even if it's a domestic employee, who doesn't have papers, you're going to be sanctioned, right? And that's going to be very effective because nobody wants to be sanctioned. Nobody wants to have their business closed. So should you be worried? No. But should you be prepared? Absolutely. You should have some sort of a plan going on for yourself in case these drastic changes are going to take effect. Okay? But Ali, I love you. You're always here. I hope everything's going to be good. All right? I don't want anybody to be super stressed out about this, but you have to be prepared. Hi, Jiminis. Hi, Lina. Can I apply for waiver I-601A if I have prosecutorial discretion but still pending on BIA for the judge to terminate my order of removal? I believe for I-601A, you cannot be in active removal proceedings. All right, that's what it is. That's what it is. And of course, consult with your attorney, but I think that's exactly what it is. So why wouldn't your lawyer then file for motion to expedite the decision on that joint motion to dismiss your case? I guess that's what you filed with BIA. All right. All right. Hi, John. Hi, Alina. Is 2 months of unpaid wages qualify for T visa? Did you report this violation? How many of you didn't get paid? Didn't you get paid at all or in portion? So what needs to happen here is that number one, you have to report this labor violation to the local Department of Labor or Federal Department of Labor, whatever you choose. Wage and Hour Division is dealing with that on the federal level. If they have investigation, and they may, you can always request for them to help you with a T visa, all right? Also, you need to know that wage and hour violations sometimes can even be enough for you to receive U visa if the administrative body is going to issue certification. Now, will it be enough? I do not know. I need to know more. What happened to you during this time? Did you lose your dwelling, your house, because you couldn't pay rent? Were they threatening you to report you for immigration status, forcing you to work for free? Okay, what was going on there? Like, I would need to know more details, but 2 hours, 2 months without pay, it's significant. Okay, it's significant. I also need to know what is it that you guys were doing and why you kept working without being paid. Did they lie to you? Did they promise you that the check is going to come any time now? What was going on? All right, so all these little details, they matter. And especially why you kept working. What was the arrangement there? Threats, force, that matters for T visa, okay? Let me see. I have 100 questions from TikTokers. Hi, guys. Don't forget to send me your love. I know at least some of you love me. I know some of you are Trump supporters, and that's okay. Hi, Afghan. Hello, I had an interview with USCIS 170 days ago. I completed everything, but card is still not approved. Not sure what's happening there. Follow up with your attorney. Sometimes USCIS takes extra time to do the background checks, but you can always follow up with them. It's not a big deal. Hi, Dalia. Hello. What do you think will happen for employment EB2 and EB2 national interest waiver? I don't think currently much is going to happen. I don't think they're going to concentrate their forces on EB2 and EB2 national interest waiver, honestly. Even though I did read in one news source that Trump's team is already drafting something to address this backlog situation by pausing the immigration in EB2 for India. I do not know if it's going to happen. I do not know if they're going to be doing that or focusing their attention on something else. But I feel that this particular area shouldn't suffer as much as family-based immigration, okay? Hi, Amy. My son is going to be 21 in January. Can you sponsor me for a green card? He can always file I-130 for you, Amy. But if you will be able to benefit from it without leaving the United States, that is a deeper question. We would need to see how you enter the United States, if you have any potential for parole in place based on military member. I'm petitioning for you. And if you, for example, can use 245I if you didn't enter with inspection. Otherwise, most people who entered without inspection, despite the fact that they have a child in the United States who's at least 21 years old, will not be able to get a green card, okay? Thank you, Pradeep. My office, I have 2 locations for my offices, guys, in Brooklyn and in Syosset, but I see people in person, if you would like a person appointment, in Syosset, but most of my appointments are remotely done. Currently, we use Zoom, Google Meet to bring the consultations fast and easy for everybody, regardless of where you're at. Hi, Gary, 221G processing times. Administrative processing depends on the issues that the consulate is investigating. There is no timeline and there is no deadline. It can take only 3 days, it can take years. Oh, like, hi, Emmy. Hi, Gopi. Biden parole in place is canceled by Texas judge. Yes, it is canceled by Texas judge. What it means is that applications that were filed and were not adjudicated, which is like 99% of them were not adjudicated, will not be approved unless Biden administration is going to appeal and will ask the higher court to unfreeze, I guess, parole in place, and the higher court is going to say, for now, you can do that, which is highly unlikely, but there is a teeny tiny possibility, right? But then there is another issue. Let's say Biden administration is going to appeal the Texas judge's ruling that parole in place is done, right? It's unlawful. Trump administration is taking over, and usually appeal is taking longer than a couple of months. It means that the chances of parole in place to be actually passed, to become a thing, are extremely, extremely low, unless Trump changes his mind and will say, hey, listen, it's not such a bad thing, and let's just continue with that. All right. Hello, Damil. Hi, Rafiq. What about pending asylum cases? Guys, pending asylum cases are still pending. They're not going anywhere unless somehow Trump's administration is going to come up with a solution to clear up the backlog fast. All right. Or if they change the way asylum is being handled in the United States. Again, the danger here is if Republicans are in control of the president and the Congress fully, then they can do whatever they want. Nothing is going to be in their way except for the Supreme Court. But guess whose judges are in the United States Supreme Court? You know the answer. So we're going to be facing and going through some interesting times. Hi, Fortune. Do you recommend legal help for straightforward I-130, I-45 case, no divorce, criminal background? Absolutely. I recommend that every case, if you can afford an attorney, has an attorney. Why? I meet tons of people who have real marriages. American citizens have great jobs. They married foreign spouses, and they thought that, listen, I'm doing the right thing, I'm paying taxes, I'm from the United States, nothing should become an issue. They face issue. Why? Because straightforward case still needs preparation. You still have to show to the satisfaction of the USCIS and immigration authorities that you have a real marriage. If you do not know what to show, or if you think that things like lack of joint bank account is not a big deal, lack of utility bills is not a big deal, then you may still face issues. And it's crazy. It really shouldn't be this way, but it's crazy. So if you can afford having an attorney, you should have an attorney. If you can't, then you have to do your research. That's how it works. Okay. Hi, H. I'm in withholding or removal and I'm married a United States citizen. What have to expect? Marriage to a US citizen by itself doesn't change your status. But if that US citizen files I-130 for you and you can adjust later, you may try to go with a motion to reopen. You have to do everything very fast because motions to reopen are hard to receive if the prosecutor is not cooperative, okay? They're hard to get approval for, all right? Hi, Omuya. How long the decisions take after asylum interview? How long you will have to wait for a decision after the asylum interview? It depends. About 30% of cases, according to the statistics that Asylum Office Division shared, fall into the second backlog for the cases that are going to be awaiting decision after the interview. So it's hard for me to tell you. Sometimes it takes only 2 weeks, and sometimes it's going to take years, literally. Hi, Juan. I have DACA and I got accepted to a medical school in the Caribbean. Do you recommend to travel with advanced parole since 5 semesters, 5 months at educational purpose? My semester starts in January. Would I recommend? I do not know all the particulars of your case, but here you're going to make a serious choice between your career and your fear, right? Do you have a backup plan in case something happens? What if DACA is ruled unlawful and you get stuck there? Do you have anybody who can sponsor you to come back? I guess that's what you will have to decide prior to leaving, And again, this is a question which is more appropriate for your attorney who knows your case, knows your goals, knows what is it that you want to do. I would say that usually traveling on advanced parole is very safe. As long as your advanced parole is valid, you should be able to come back. But because we do not know what's going to happen to DACA at this point, there is risk involved. You have to understand that. And the rest, I think you should sit down and your attorney should honestly tell you what you may face if you're stuck in the Caribbean and if you want to take that risk, because it's your career, your professional future against your future in the United States, right? So I guess that's what needs to be discussed, okay? Hi, Laurel. How long does a PD request take in Virginia? It all depends on the prosecutor and the judge, guys. There is no timeline for that whatsoever, except for the fact that the prosecutors say that you have to wait for at least 90 days for them to consider your request. If 90 days passed after you submitted the request, you should follow up with them and see what is it that's holding them back. All right. Hi, Jupiter. I'm on H-2A visa with pending I-140 EB3. Will I get another H-2A visa if I-140 is still pending? I don't know if you will. H-1B has special rules for the extension. I do not know your situation, but perhaps you're going to have a different plan. All right. All I can tell you is that this unlimited extension of H visas is only for H-1B, all right? Because there is a special law about that. I may be wrong, but that's what I remember. Hi, Kim. I filed VAWA October 2022. How long more wait for approval? You should probably get your decision or RFE, if you haven't gotten an RFE, within the next 3 to 4 months, all right? That's how I would estimate it. But again, it's just an estimate. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe USCIS officers are going to be completely freaking out because administration is changing and most of them were hired during the Biden administration. I don't know how it's going to affect our deadlines, guys. It's a possibility because the last time when administration was changed, there was a big shake in USCIS. And, stuff was affected. Hi, everything for life. I don't want my spouse to get deported. Should we get married now? Yeah, I guess. If you call the person your spouse already and you can give them immigration status and you don't want them to be deported, I mean, I think it's a good time to put together that adjustment package, right? You guys should think about things like that. Absolutely. I started having a lot of consultations with couples who's been living together for 4 or 5 years, and they haven't done the paperwork. Guys, now it's the time. All right, now it's the time. You don't want to do it in court. It's more expensive. Trust me. Okay. All right. Let me see. Hi, Andy Whale. My I-45 is showing that the case is actively reviewed by USCIS. What does it mean? I have so many videos about that. Other lawyers have many videos about that. Where actively reviewing your case does not mean anything. Nothing that you can use. I'm sorry. It only means that somebody put that update in your system. We do not know if you're going to be called for the interview. It doesn't tell us if there will be an error fee. It doesn't tell us how long they're going to be actively reviewing your case. So honestly, it doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry. All right? It just doesn't mean anything. All right, let me take some questions in the back. Hi, Fahad. I applied my asylum 8 months ago. No yet any result. Fahad, I have bad news for you. If you applied for your asylum only 8 months ago, you need to know that most people who are watching my channel are waiting for that asylum interview for 8 years plus, okay? It's a disaster, truly. The asylum backlog is a terrible thing in the United States. And for newly come people, you guys will find yourself in a lot of unpleasant surprise here. Asylum process as it is currently may take a decade. A decade, okay? Hi, user, I have removal order on asylum and now I got VAWA approved. Am I still protected? Yes, you should be protected, and you were supposed to file your motion to reopen a long time ago, okay? You need to know something, that under the law that is currently, you don't have to wait for your I-360 to be approved to file motion to reopen. You see that pink book there? That's Kurzban. That's the book that's used by every immigration practitioner, from lawyers to prosecutors and judges and USCIS officers. This year, it's pink. I love the color. It's a new edition, and I have all of them since I started practicing. I have tons of these Kurzban books, but this is where you find answers to a lot of your immigration questions. And one of the things that's written there is that if you have I-360, you do not have to wait for its approval to file that motion to reopen, guys, okay? Tell your lawyers if they don't know about that, because you could have resolved your order of removal a while ago. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. It's been about 45 minutes of our very nice question-answer session, communications, exchange of ideas, and so on and so forth. Some of you exchanged your love for Trump. That's okay. Some of you asked a lot of questions, which I love, because then I can help you guys, at least pointing you out to the right direction. Now is the time to ask questions. Ask me questions, comment under these videos, ask your lawyers questions. Don't be shy. They are your lawyers. They're there to answer your questions. If you have status in the United States, you can, and citizenship, you can ask your elected officials as to what they're going to do in case negative measures are coming, how they're going to be helping your families, especially if those officials are from Democratic side, because now it's a time to prepare. Now is a time to act. As an immigration attorney, and all of us are going to be with you going through this time, helping you guys out. We're always advocating for your interests. We're always watching out. You see how many good lawyers online give you advice, have these live sessions, you know, firing up. They say, hey, we're ready to go. The same thing in my office. We're ready to go. We're going to be there for you. So don't be too scared, but be prepared. Thank you guys very much for your time. If you haven't signed up for my channels, please do so. So you're going to stay updated with regard to the most interesting immigration changes to come. As always, we're going to see each other next week. And for now, I hope you're all going to have an amazing weekend.